Alright, it's Barry, and today on Grow It, I've got my top 5 seed potato varieties to grow this year. Potatoes are one of the most popular homegrown food crops all around the world, and potatoes are actually closely related to tomatoes and peppers. In fact, they're part of the same family, which is the nightshades. In fact, once the flowers on your potato plants are pollinated, they do actually develop little fruit that look just like green cherry tomatoes, although you definitely shouldn't eat those because they're absolutely packed with solanine, which is an especially poisonous compound that can cause some pretty bad side effects, including death. It's a naturally occurring chemical defense system in nightshade plants, so it is also there in your tomatoes and your aubergines and peppers, but the fruits are perfectly safe to eat. In fact, they also all contain trace amounts of nicotine as well, since tobacco plants are a nightshade as well. They are all full of alkaloid compounds which do different things like regulating growth and fending off pests. Potatoes originate from South America along with all the other nightshades, and they were first domesticated around 7,000 to 10,000 years ago, but interestingly they were only introduced in the UK around 400 years ago, which is always a strange one because they seem like the sort of thing that you'd always be growing here in the UK, just because they're absolutely everywhere and pretty much everything we eat has got potatoes in it. So before we get going with the top 5, this is a seed potato, which is a small potato tuber, and it's been specifically grown and bred to be disease free for planting in the ground for growing more potatoes. So you don't want to be going to the supermarket and picking up a bag of spuds and then just sticking them into the ground, because they haven't been bred to be disease free, and they could potentially introduce a load of diseases into your garden or even be harbouring blight, and you'll end up with a load of really horrible rubbish plants and manky potatoes, and it'll spread to all your other potatoes and tomato plants as well. So you're much better off spending your time and effort growing a proper pack of seed potatoes, because you know what the results are going to be. They're going to be much better and they're going to be more reliable, and you're not taking that risk on buying rank spuds. There are around 4,000 varieties of potatoes, 80 commercial varieties that are available in the UK anyway, so there's plenty to choose from, but here's my top 5 varieties that are really easy to find in the shops. At number 5 is my favourite potato to plant first, Rocket. Rocket seed potatoes are a first early variety that produce loads and loads of early potatoes ready to harvest from June. Rockets are one of the fastest cropping potatoes, which is probably how they got the name, and they're also really easy to grow and look after as well, so they're a really popular potato to plant for great summer harvests. You can still get started now on your first earlies as well. They only really need planting towards the end of this month, mainly because they'll just need some protection from frost, and the later in the year it gets, the less chance we get of frost and then wiping out all of your potatoes. Next up is my favourite second early potato, and that's Kestrel. And Kestrel potatoes were developed in 1992 by a plant breeder called Dr. Jack Dunnett of Caithness Potatoes in northern Scotland. They're medium to large in size, averaging 6 to 12 centimetres in length. One of my favourite things about Kestrel potatoes is that the skin's like the normal colour of potatoes, like brown, but they also have purple patches that look really interesting when you dig them up, especially when they're mostly purple as well. They look really great. They taste great cooked, and they're really good for using to make roast potatoes or just boiling. And Kestrel potatoes are really good for you as well. They're really high in fibre, iron and potassium, and they're a good source of vitamin C and B vitamins and the antioxidant anthocyanin, which is the pigment responsible for the purple bits on the skin. Third up on my list today is another second early potato, Maris Pear. And Maris Pear potatoes are one of the most popular potato varieties, and you should be able to find these anywhere selling seed potatoes. They're classic looking yellow potatoes, and they taste absolutely great as well. They don't break down and go mushy during cooking, which makes them a perfect all-round potato. So whether you want to use them for boiling, mashing, roasting or frying, if you've got the room to grow one variety, these are absolutely the one that you should grow. Next up is my first main crop variety, which is Maris Piper, and these are ready to go in during late April and May. If you're new to potato growing, chances are that you might not have heard of the other varieties that I've mentioned already, but I'm fairly sure you will have heard of Maris Piper and the other main crop variety that's coming up next. If you've ever bought potatoes from the shop, you'll have seen these absolutely everywhere. Maris Pipers are the most popular variety of potato grown in the UK since the development in the 1960s. And Maris Piper potatoes have a fluffy texture, and they're considered to be an all-rounder potato, and they're possibly the best potato variety for making chips, and that's French fries to those of you who call crisps chips. And they're really good for making fried long potato slices due to them having a lower water content than other potatoes and low levels of sugar. Finally, and my favourite potato to grow, King Edwards. And King Edward potatoes have been knocking around since 1902, which makes them one of the oldest varieties of potato still grown in the UK. The coronation of King Edward VII in 1902 coincided with the introduction of these potatoes, and legend has it that the name was given to these potatoes to celebrate his coronation. And apparently the chap that produced the cultivar wrote to Buckingham Palace seeking permission to name his potato King Edward, and he received a reply saying, yeah, go for it. So I wonder if anyone's going to be naming potatoes after the Queen for the Jubilee, or maybe King Charles potatoes, or definitely not Prince Andrew potatoes. King Edwards have a variety of culinary uses thanks to the super light, fluffy texture, which makes them great for roasting, amazing for making badger-pleasing mashed potato, or even just baking. But that's all of the potatoes that I'm growing this year. Let me know in the comment section if you're going to be growing potatoes and which ones you're going to be trying. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel for a new video every Tuesday, and start your gardening weekend with my 1 minute seed of the week video every Saturday morning. Get your seed potatoes now and get ready to start planting them in a couple of weeks. And I'll see you next time.